We also have the Global Times newspaper. NASIT engages COVEC West Africa Limited. Ex-President Nkrumah to return soon. Malado Associates clarifies. And Chinese ambassador donates to police. From the Global Times newspaper, we'll take the Daybreak newspaper. And on its front page, Speaker disgraces Mohammed Bangura. And Sea Coach responds to investigation after discovery of illegal drugs in unclaimed luggage. And the last newspaper that we have is the Night Watch newspaper. Doubt, fear over Kush task force. Kush and coup. More arrests, more chips. APC's brown envelope bloggers. So those are the headline stories from our local newspapers. And as I said earlier, to join me discuss these headlines, I have with me Solomon Sundu, who is a civil society activist. Good morning and welcome to Front Page.
Good morning, Salfo. Good morning, viewers.
All right, and flanked by me also, I have Minkailu Nkrumah, who is a political analyst and a social commentator. Good morning and welcome to Front Page.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we'll start with our first story on the AYV newspaper. I think when they launched the Human Development Report by UNDP, that was the first time Vice President Dr. Mohamed Julde Jallow made the statement that even if whoever is being arrested, the dealers or those in the Kush business, even if they come with 150 lawyers, they won't be granted bail. And he reiterated it during the town hall meeting on Kush that was organized by the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. And just a few days ago also, they engaged the security sector at ONS. And by then, he also reiterated but increased the number that on the two occasions, he said 150. But now, even if you have 200 lawyers or legal practitioners to defend you, you won't be granted bail. And that statement sparked divided opinions, especially for those in the legal practice. And today, this newspaper is saying, because some were saying that statement is not in line with what the Constitution is saying. So for you, I'll start with Solomon Sundu. What do you make up of that specific statement and the divided opinions, especially by lawyers?
Yes, I think, the statement for the Vice President is, for me, it seems to appear, when accusations were levied against names that were not supposed to be named in drug, related cases or matters. And over the period, we heard about names coming out, and he himself, the Vice President, his name was being mentioned that, is conniving with people who are in this business or his associates are in this business. A lot of, alleged. These were all allegedly, so we heard again about, the president needs about, connections with, guys who are dealing with this substance. So if you look at, the anger, right, your name was not supposed to be in area of drug
and it was mentioned.
It was mentioned. The Vice President is the second gentleman, and his statement for me is like cautioning people who think that the law, they will subvert the law, right? Because we heard about a case in Pujon, where they went with the case and charged the matter to court, and they later grant, the individual bail due to other interventions.
Okay.
So it's like those statements emanated from there. And if you remember, if you can recall, when we were at Parliament on the stakeholder meeting, they said even the member of Parliament at that, within that district, he mentioned also that. So if they were to penalize those people who are being caught or nabbed into these drug, issues, it's emphasizing that no matter the lawyers you have, right, you will not be bailed. But you look at the other side of justice. And thank God in the town hall meeting, the Attorney General was there and he said, drug-related matters, the act they were using, the Pharmacies Act, it was not suffice for them to charge people. You will see they will find somebody for cannabis sativa for 1 leon or 2 leons. These were archaic
because
laws.
they're obsolete.
Exactly. So he was trying to emphasize that the laws that we use now is the National Drug Act that was passed in 2008, amended. Yeah. So if they were to deal with those laws, the law tells you that they will, if sentence you if you are found guilty, right, from 5 years, and fine will be levied, you pay both, or they will increase. And the law again will tell you that they will, if you are being caught as a trafficker, they will seize all your belongings or property. Okay. So those were the laws the Attorney General was emphasizing. And you heard about, you heard from the justice, who was the justice, Izimomoja Stephen, was representing the judicial, the judiciary. Yeah, exactly. So you heard him saying they are there to dispense the law and interpret the Constitution. So for me, that's the caveat. It doesn't matter the language of the vice president. Okay. But in as much as matters, right, or all cases that have been charged to court, it's left with the lawyers, the magistrates and the judges to preside over it as the laws, interpret. Okay. You understand? Right. Or they are there to interpret the Constitution, or as the Act amended in 2008, they are there to do so. Okay. So the only emphasis here is the political will, that it does not matter your position or connection, whether be it with the president or vice president.
If you found wanting,
exactly. You have to go through the law and let the law say you are free. Okay. That's my interpretation.
All right. Minkailu, so what's your, because now it has sparked a debate, divided opinions, especially in the area of it is not in line with the Constitution, especially that the rights of people are being trampled upon by that statement.
Yes, that is just a statement. Yeah, it is just a statement which cannot be equated to trampling upon the right of any individual. Okay. For me, it's an hyperbole. Yeah. It's an exaggeration because of the circumstance. Okay. I believe so. That is my honest opinion. Okay. But you see, the law is the law. Yeah. The law is a different realm altogether. Okay. There is presumption of innocence. There is equality before the law. And judges' decisions are legally guided. They are not discretionary. Yeah. So if somebody is being accused of dealing in kush or smoking kush and charged to court, that person will be given a fair trial, and if the person is innocent, I don't think the person will be detained or remanded. Okay. The judge will use the law to make a decision. So the vice president, I believe, was only being very much maybe hyperbolical because of the surrounding circumstances and the accusations and all. Okay. I have been engaged in many debates that has got to do with Kush. Okay. Even before coming to AYV front page, I was engaged this morning between the hours of 9 to 10 by Radio Shalom in Falaba district. They were also discussing Kush. It has become very rampant, affecting people adversely. So I think that is the reason why the vice president was very emphatic. There was a circumstance in which I was also asked that it has been alleged that a lot of politicians are involved in the Kush deal.
Okay.
I told them I have no evidence to so accuse anybody. And that is why we have the Criminal Investigation Department. If anybody is involved in the dealing of Kush, it is their responsibility, as we stated the other day, to ensure that they work collaboratively with other institutions, including ONS, to conduct a very thorough investigation and go after those individuals. We were very skeptical the other day about the state of emergency. Well, I was very skeptical. The civil society guys have been very much emphatic, calling on President to ensure that the state of emergency is imposed or is passed. I did say the state of emergency is welcoming, but the implementation now is the problem.
Where you were concerned.
And that is why I am still making this emphasis that it is welcoming because of the circumstance. We cannot allow Kush to continue to destroy our young people. But then, when it comes to the implementation, let the law be followed to the latter.
Okay.
Let us ensure we go after people who are actually involved in the deal of Kush and not go after innocent people in the name of politics.
Okay.
That is the fear.
All right. So, going back to the statement of the Vice President, over the weekend, he met with some journalists. And one of the journalists he met with was an AYV journalist. And he explained why the reason that prompted that statement. I will just read some paragraphs from the write-up, and you can make your comment. It says, speaking to AYV News, Vice President Jallow said he made the pronouncement in his capacity as chairman of the Police Council. He said, in my capacity as the chairman of the Police Council, I have summoned all my police commanders and instructed them not to grant bail to anyone arrested with the substance whilst in police custody, regardless of legal representation. This is within my authority as chairman of the Police Council. He said lately, the police have been proactive in arresting illegal drugs dealers, but that once they are in police custody, you will see lawyers storming the police stations to seek their bails. He said when once the dealers are granted bail, they will return to the same communities, and those communities will in turn accuse the police of releasing the suspect to recommit the same crimes. So now, when arrested by the police, we will deny them bail, but instead, we will fast-track their police investigations, complete their case files, and charge them to court within the shortest possible time. After that, let the lawyers go to the court and apply for their bail. If bail is granted by the court, then so be it. But henceforth, no bail will be granted to anyone arrested with the substance whilst in police custody, regardless of legal representation, the Vice President re-echoed. So with what he has explained, what's your take now on the statement?
Yeah, initially, upon glancing at the headline, I did say the law is a different realm altogether, and that the judges' decisions are guided legally, they are not discretionary. But then this is a detailed explanation, and it is justifiable. It is within the realm of the Vice President, so decide. I mean, yes, we've seen circumstances in which people are arrested for certain crimes. When they are at the police station, they will use their connections to make calls and they are released. And that is what is bad. Even society will not treat you seriously if that happens.
Yes, because even that's what he's saying.
Sure.
Because the police have called on citizens themselves to also join them in the fight against the Kush problem.
Yes.
So if as citizens, we have provided information that led to the arrest of somebody who is involved in the act, and a few minutes or maybe some hours later, that person comes back and do the same thing, I don't think...
Yes, nobody will take it seriously.
Okay.
Yes, and that is also the reason why, in fact, some police officers will decide to negotiate at the scene where the arrest is being made, and if they are bribed, they will take the bribe, because they are aware that if we take this person to the police station, the person may use his or her connections, to get bail. Just very recently, I was driving in the traffic, and few young people were talking about Kush. I was paying attention attentively that in our area, quote and unquote, they go arrest someone where they sell Kush. But the woman give them 40 million, they left hand, they left the cushion hand and not even take her. Yes. So this holy month of Ramadan, I swear to this holy month of Ramadan, yes, by young people. That tells you the vice president is spot on. His statement is justifiable.
Okay.
Bail must be denied so that the police will take it seriously, society will take it seriously. But then he has also said, if the matter is now charged to the court, it is left to the court to now use the law, and it convicts or acquit and discharge the person. That is justifiable.
All right. So that clarified the divided opinions, because he's not saying that if the matter is in court, you will not be granted bail.
He has not attempted to interfere with the court.
All right. Yes. So what's your take on that? His explanation.
I think we have said it all. And when you look at, just like what my brother mentioned here, I think few days some people called me that, Solomon, with all this advocacy you guys are doing, we are seeing people who have been arrested and now they have been released from the police. And the justification therein, right? For me, the vice president said what he's supposed to, say about this kush trafficker or those who have been caught. It's right to justify it. So for me, it's left with the law. When the matter has been charged, that's what I said earlier in my early submission. Let the law decide, right? And the judge will not sit there with all the cases within Kush and just release the individuals based on the law, just like what my brother mentioned. But for the area of the police, I think they need to be serious.
Okay.
It's not just for you to go and make, arrest. At the end of the day, when, money we are giving or bribes, so to speak, allegedly, then you release those people.
Okay.
Charge them to court. You have no reason to release anybody. For as long as you have charged and you have substance that can, be tendered as evidence, I think you have the right to charge the individual to court.
Okay.
So the vice president's statement is justifiable.
Okay. And also, still on the Kush, we've seen where the address of the president, he also sent a stern warning to those involved in the production, trade, and all sort of that their time is up. And in few remarks, what do you make up of the president's address few days ago?
Yeah, like I have always stated, we had, wanted the president to come out and make a very strong statement regarding Kush. We were here the other day, you were giving us, statistics in chronological order, that Dr. Jallo had emphasized this in a press conference, that the issue of Kush, must be treated with the utmost seriousness it deserves. This is welcoming, like I have always maintained. The only thing now is that the statement of the president must be treated with utmost seriousness and must be implemented to the fullest.
Okay.
It must not be used as a political witch hunt.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it must not go after other innocent citizens to settle scores.
Okay.
That is what we don't want to see.
All right.
But it is incumbent now on the IG to ensure that the CID, Criminal Investigation Department, is empowered, that ONS must activate, their various branches to go and ensure that there is a complete disconnection. We have a lot of illegal crossing points. They must have to be very vigilant in manning those checkpoints, those crossing points, and to also go after those that are doing the production in country to cut off the supply of kush.
Okay.
That will help.
All right. Yes. Shortly before we go to
it's a welcoming, news for us to see the president coming out. That was my point, that he should come out and make a statement, and a very vibrant one. But he also mentioned that government alone cannot fight the fight against kush. It means that the community is needed, collaborations are needed within ministries, departments, and agencies. So that was our call. And what we will emphasize is the political witch hunting. And I know the Attorney General, they will frame laws that we just be within the kush and not other reasons, right? Because
illegal
we don't want to
drugs and
see
all that.
exactly. We don't want to see where they will use it against political opponents to score political goals. We are against that and will condemn that. And I don't think that was the reason why the president made the declaration. He made it for us to come together. And you saw it exactly where he said, with the kush, Melis, he cannot able to achieve his human capacity building and all what is putting in place, right? And that was our call for us not to go and seek, human resource from other country. We have our own people languishing. Let's bring them together. And even the rehab center, right? It should not just be a rehab. All the recommendations we made, we spoke here about reintegration, right? On the other day, I was here on this day. Those were the recommendations. When you talk about rehab center, you think of how you should reintegrate that individual into society. Okay. Whether that individual was dropped out of school or from university or from any training institution, right? So we need to do the reintegration properly. And he mentioned about, the task force. Those structures were already there. It's for them to just, revive them. And my recommendation also would be now the toll-free line. Let them open a toll-free line, right, on kush or any substance abuse, so that the community will take part in the fight. And also he mentioned about the paramount chiefs. These were the people, we need to bring them on board. Okay. If we are to fight against these Nelis, bring them on board. The paramount chief, they have, large constituency in their chiefdom. You have the, section chiefs, you have the town chief, you have the village headmen. They can bring them together and know exactly the way forward in fighting.
Fighting the Kush. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
So away from the Kush fight, Nigeria has given an update on the former President Nkrumah's health condition, and also because at some point some people were questioning why have they not been updating the public on his status, but he also explained the reasons why that was not done. So I'll just read some of the so you will know exactly what the Nigeria's foreign minister said. He says Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Toga, has disclosed that former president of Sierra Leone, Anesbai Koroma, is expected to return to Sierra Leone within 3 months after completing medical treatment in Abuja. Ambassador Tuga made this revelation during a gathering with members of the Diplomatic Correspondents Association of Nigeria in Abuja. Addressing concerns about Koroma's presence in Nigeria, Ambassador Tuga clarified that the former Sierra Leonean leader currently resides in Nigeria for medical response. He emphasized that Koroma's stay in Nigeria was aimed at alleviating tensions in Sierra Leone. I believe he's away for some medical treatment. He will return in a while. I think 3 months, but this is where he is residing. He is safe and sound here, stated Ambassador Tuga. He further explained that the rationale behind maintaining discretion regarding Koroma's presence, noting the importance of avoiding unnecessary attention that could potentially escalate tensions in Sierra Leone. We don't want a situation where he's residing here and we continue to speak about him and he's attracting a lot of attention. And maybe he's even been put in an awkward position where he has to start speaking, and then that defeats the purpose of us diffusing the tension in Sierra Leone, Ambassador Tugad remarked. So I'm going to start with you on this, Minkailu, since you are also a member of the All People's Congress Party. The foreign minister is saying, in addition to the medical condition, one of the reasons also that they accepted for him to be hosted in Nigeria is to reduce the tension in Sierra Leone, especially when he was accused of being part of the November 26 attempted coup.
Yes, thank you. You are very right. Aside of me being one of the members of the All People's Congress Party, I am also officially one of the party's spokesperson. Okay. So I think I am also better positioned to talk on this. Okay. The foreign minister has stated the painful elaboration of the obvious. It's very spot on. Yeah. We have noticed that aside the fact that he was having some health conditions and needed medical attention immediately, but it was also a mechanism to alleviate tensions in Sierra Leone and avoid unnecessary attention, as he put forward. He has put forward.
Okay.
That is very correct, and I agree with him. Yeah, when he was accused of being part of the November, attempted coup, you saw the tensions. Even when he was taken from Makeni to Freetown, and when he was coming to the CID, you see the place is always very jam-packed. When checkpoints were mounted at his house, the presence of military and police, the area was actually not very conducive. People were, being checked, cars and vehicles were being checked, and the community was actually not a place where people were very happy. So, but one thing that I want to make abundantly clear here is that we do not want to see this situation of former presidents not residing in their home countries. I think they have to speedily conclude the trial and acquit and discharge him if he's innocent. We want to see that. He made preparation for his retirement.
Okay.
He's one person that had never wanted to leave out of Sierra Leone. He had wanted to reside in Sierra Leone and be here forever. Yeah. And I am not casting any aspersions, but I also think that government must work mechanisms in place in line with the Bintumani Agreement for National Unity. There is a whole resolution dealing with intra-party dialogue, the APC and the SLPP, in which they should sit and discuss national issues to see that this whole thing is laid to rest. A fair trial is conducted, the trial is on, and a speedy trial is also assured, so that those who are innocent can be acquitted and discharged and go about their normal businesses. I don't want to see any former president not having the opportunity to live and reside in his own country. Okay. You see, we have imported a different system of governance. Yeah, we imported democracy from the West, but the West, these are very civilized people. When you go to UK, there have been prime ministers, Cameron, Boris Johnson, Tony Blair. They are all residing in the UK. None of them is in exile. Okay. You go to America, you see the Jimmy Carter, the Bill Clinton, the George Bush Jr., the Barack Obama. They are all residing in America. Okay. Some of them participate in politics by only coming on board when it is campaign period to campaign for their parties and their candidates. That does not mean we must not copy that other good examples from them.
From them.
Yeah. So I saw Macky Sall in Senegal.
That's what, because yesterday I was just discussing with colleague journalists that most often I was asking them, why does our leaders do not learn from the West? I said, because I made an example with the US. All the past presidents of the US, all of them are living in the United States. But we've just seen after the new president in Senegal was sworn in, Macky Sall left for Morocco or so. And I was asked at France or somewhere why is that? So why do we normally have these problems in Africa?
We should not have this problem in Africa.
So you are one of the politicians.
Yes, I am saying we should not have it. So you must not see that. I don't want to see President Bio residing out of Sierra Leone after his tenure, as established by the Constitution. He has got 2 terms. Yeah, he was elected in 2018, re-elected in 2023. He's serving a term. If he completes his term, I don't want to see him residing out of Sierra Leone. He must be prepared to have a retirement package for himself, to reside in country and enjoy the privileges of an elderly statesman. That is the example we must copy from other countries. Go to Nigeria, for example. Past presidents are residing in Nigeria. Nigeria is actually demonstrating that they are big brother in Africa. Okay. Obasanjo is residing, Babangida is residing, even Buhari, they are all residing in Nigeria. So why can't we copy good examples from other people? When you're in the opposition, it is our responsibility to now, after serving judiciously, you are now in the opposition. After serving, you should be an elderly statesman. It is our responsibility to advise where necessary and to also ensure that peace and sanity is maintained in the country. So I want to see all former presidents residing in Sierra Leone. I want to see a circumstance in which Ernest Bai Koroma will be acquitted and discharged if he is innocent and be allowed to come back to the country and reside peacefully without harassment. Okay.
So, Solomon, what's your take on the update and what we've been discussing, the elaborations he's made?
Yeah, I think I want to take, and I took few notes of the foreign minister's statement.
Excuse me. Yeah.
That it said is for the peace and tranquility in Sierra Leone, for which that is paramount. And they also mentioned about the too much, eyebrows around former President Nkrumah's, issue, right? I want to say this. This is the time for us, the young one coming up, right, in the area of governance. I will speak largely on governance, and even the young folks coming into politics, right? This is a time for us to speak truth to power, right? We should not be ashamed of telling our leaders their roles, their duties, and responsibility. As he said, we want to see where our former leaders, right, not only from the presidencies, whosoever has been bestowed in that position, be you former president, vice president, speaker of the house, ministers, you should be within, your country, right, where you have the prerogative to sit down and invest what you have gained over the years or knowledge, and to make more inputs into governance. But in this case, we have failed to do so based on our ego, right? I will refer to, my former president Nkrumah. I was the one really bringing out, writing out, that we want to see where our former president can be like Nigeria, to take part, like what his predecessor, has done. Blessed memory, former President Kaba, may his soul rest in peace. He laid down the foundation for Sierra Leone, right? After his tenure, he went and sat peacefully without meddling into some national or petty politics.
So you think he was meddling with national and politics?
I'm coming to my point. That was what I was expecting from former President Nkrumah. He has made his part. He has done a lot for Sierra Leone. Everybody is giving him that accolade, right? So I was not expecting him, even the chairmanship he was owing for quite a long time. People call him all sorts of names, chairman for life, chairman for this, and the words he himself was using, that if the APC were not settled, or the Munku politicians, he will raise jihad. These were not words for any leader. I condemn those words in the democratic states. As he said, we have borrowed democracy, and we are going by democracy. These were the issues we want our leaders to land, right? You can be there, you follow states' protocols or national issues. Former President Nkrumah was representing Sierra Leone in another form by bringing peace to other nations, by representing the ECOWAS in electoral, observations. These were the role we were expecting them to play. And Sierra Leone, no matter what you say, we are integral in every issue because based on our experience, the 11-year war. So we should be a kind of learning point, learning from, us, how we maintain our peace and how the cohesiveness, right? So that was what I was expecting. But for you to melt, be in politics at the same time, well, you can come over, just like what my brother mentioned. You have the Jimmy Carters, Barack Obama. They will come in when there is time, when it is necessary. But in any Jack and Jean, you hear the name of former President Nkrumah, being that he is this, this is the ego I'm talking about. Even now, the currents we have, I'm sure he's learning from, what is happening now. Because we want to see them around. We want to see our former leaders, right? Investing in Sierra Leone, bringing more, pride to Sierra Leone, but not to meddle. If your time is gone, move out of politics. You can be there as a father, a state person, advising even your incumbents, right? That was what I was expecting.
But he resigned later.
That was later, after pressure we have been mounted and the like. And all those, meddling within him. For me, they were not giving good advice. And that is bad in politics, right? If you have either a state person, don't try and, narrow him to certain points. And this is the advice to all of us coming up. If you are there and your time is gone, get yourself back. Allow the state to run.
All right. So before we go to Menkailo, because I remember one of the press releases that his office put out, and in that press release, he made it clear, because as you are saying that people were expecting him to be active in like peace, national matters. But in that press release, I think one of the paragraphs noted that he vehemently refused to be saying things like people were expecting him to do, because he doesn't want his words to be taken out of context, owing the fact that the things that people were saying surrounding him, that because of that, that's why he was silent.
My brother, you see, I made my statement very earlier. That was what we were expecting after the 2018 election. I mean, we are there at, 7 Battalion. Before me, he said after the election, he will relinquish powers and get back to his village. Okay. You see, that was a very clear call, right? And the same thing continued to him. He can be a statesperson, right? This is not the only, case that we have Sierra Leone has faced. But thank God now for the good democracy. Now the death penalty is no longer in our book, right? As a state person, for me, I always say what is gone wrong cannot be reflected again. Okay. Let him come and say, my people, perhaps I've made a mistake in meddling or whatever, my name has been mentioned. Let him apologize if there's a way. I'm not saying he's guilty, he's still proven innocent. But a word, that's the only word. Hey, we want peace. We want this, right? This is not the time for us to open score. Okay. I'm sorry for what has been done, for you advising me not to take part or meddling with other politics or even my interest to show. I'm sorry about that.
All right. So let's hear from Mikhailo that he is of the view that former President Nkrumah was in a way meddling with the politics, and when his time ended, he did not relinquish everything as he was supposed to. So what's your view on that?
Yes, he has spoken as a civil society activist. Okay. I'm a politician.
All right.
And so my statement will be properly guided. Yeah? Okay. Firstly, I agree with him to a very large extent that immediately after, during on the day of polling, President Nkrumah did say he was going to take the backseat 3 months after the elections. You see, what is bad in politics, and that we as young politicians must not practice or encourage, is sycophancy. Okay. When you say I want to take the backseat and you have a group of sycophants coming to tell you you are the only person that will hold this party together, Panogo, if you go, how go they now? That is very wrong. You understand? President Nkrumah is actually, I have interacted with him. He was like a mentor, and he's still a mentor. We never separated paths. I was going to McKinney. It's somebody that is visionary. Okay. We can sit and talk for as long as 2-3 hours. We can drive in his car. He's somebody very visionary. But the thing we must not tolerate around us is sycophancy. Okay. Some people will come and tell you things they want you to hear because they have got the benefit out of that. And that you should not tolerate. He was actually ready to relinquish his position as chairman and leader because he was no longer leader. Dr. Samuel Kamara was now leader, even though our constitution made it very clear. That is why we advocated for our constitution to be changed. And that when you have a leader of the party, that person should not be chairman. Because if you cannot command majority in the ballot box, you happen not to win an election, take the back seat and allow the party to go on. We are reprimanded. Now people are beginning to appreciate us. You understand? With the current trend of politics, they are beginning to appreciate us. And so because he allowed people who are sycophants to be around and tell him things that were not correct, it affected him somehow.
So with that means
but along
his next accusation that he was meddling.
No, well, I am not saying that. I am coming to that. Okay. I am making my conclusions.
All right.
Yes, of course, you cannot separate him. You cannot separate him at that time from politics because he was chairman of the party. Okay. And because he was still chairman of the party, whatever decision that the party may want to take, they have to revert to Dr. Hannes Nkrumah. It is either meetings have been held in McKinney for discussions, and so you cannot separate him from politics at that time. But there was a point when he decided to resign before going to the convention. You understand? But then, before his resignation, a lot of finger pointing and accusations. But we also saw at the latter part, he was actually very engaged, in promoting regional and sub-regional issues, like elections monitoring, the consolidation of peace and democracy. He was heading some missions for ECOWAS and the African Union, and that was the expectation by many Sierra Leoneans, And so it is still not too late. We still are expecting Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma. Some of us are expecting him to be acquitted and discharged, because I cannot see somebody who has served as a president for 2 terms having anything to do with a military coup. But what do you have to benefit? I think your responsibility should be, holding the country together and helping your political party where need be to gain political power through the constitution and the ballot box.
So do you agree with him that former President Koroma needs to apologize to the people of Sierra Leone?
Well, you can only apologize for a crime that you are guilty of. I don't want to say anything about the treason trial. President Koroma is an accused person. An accused person.
No, I don't think he meant because of the treason.
No, it's not the treason.
Because
it's like
he
all
said
the bad names, just like we mentioned.
Do you know there was a point that President Koroma did apologize to the entire membership of the All People's Congress? Yes, there was a point he did apologize when fingers were pointing at him. When we could not win the 2018 elections. A lot of fingers were pointing at him that he selected Dr. Samura Kamara. He made a lot of mistakes. He apologized. That was public.
What about in the case of not relinquishing power 3 months, as he said?
Like I also told you, President Koroma was willing to relinquish power 3 months immediately. He made a pronouncement. Nobody compelled him. Nobody forced him to make that pronouncement. But people took upon themselves. You saw a clip. There was a point, even at the latter part, somebody was crawling, begging, holding his feet. So
the reason why I'm asking that, because at some point, even though he did not relinquish it, as he said, 3 months after the election because of what you're saying, the sycophancy and all that. But later, it's kind of like he realized that, no, I gave my word to these people, and I need to.
Okay, let me tell you.
After
as a member of the APC,
did he apologize?
As a member of the APC who was at the peak and thing of that transition period, there was this, sometimes an institution can go into, a situation of almost collapsing if the transition process is not managed very well. There was a period APC should have transitioned from the generation of Ernest Bai Koroma to a new generation altogether. You see, we saw in the SLPP, when John Benjamin and others, first it was Michael Kalo and others, there was a transition to John Benjamin and others. John Benjamin and others, they transitioned the party to another set of leaders. So we are expecting the same transition to have taken place. But when you have sycophants coming in the middle, to say this thing and all that.
That's a problem.
So he was also somehow loyal to them. He had not wanted to leave a vacuum that would create another chaos in the party. So he was put in a position that was very difficult for him to handle. But if I were Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, I was not going to listen to anybody. I have myself to look out for first before any other person.
All right. So yes, before because time is almost at our back. So I will just read few messages and you will respond. We'll wrap up, and also you respond and we wrap up. More lie, war boy by Kamara is saying, Mr. Minkailu, you are wrong to say that police has the right to deny someone bail because he or she is accused of involvement in kush trading. If he or she deserves bail, whether at the police station, as long as he or she meets the bail conditions, the police should not deny the person bail. And also there is reason why bail is there in the first place, to increase the police need to the person again to answer questions. They will bring him or he or she back according to the bail conditions set by the police. This is not a tyranny state, and politicians should not dictate whether the rule of law should apply. And finally, the vice president is head of the police council, but should not interfere in the day-to-day running of the police, because the police is answerable to the laws of the land, not to any individual, no matter who you are or the position you hold in the country. I don't know if you listened when we clarified why the police, why Vice President made that pronouncement, but Minkail will respond to that. And Abdul Rashid Dankona is saying EBK is one of the principal problems in Sierra Leone. And Embraces Jonathan Kanu is saying EBK is not the problem. This government is creating unnecessary tension in the country, leaving their obligation to fulfill the bread and butter issue. So I think that will be the last message I'll take. I'll give you 2 minutes to respond and give your parting shot, and also 2 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, I will not waste time on this. Firstly, I am not the one that made the statement that the police should not grant bail. This is a statement that was made by the Vice President, and the Vice President did justify his statement. That he's not saying the court should not grant bail, but when people are accused and taken to the police stations or arrests are made, people must not go there to use their influence to grant them bail. Sure. The society will not treat the issue seriously. And besides, let us also know that people do not understand the magnitude of what a state of public health emergency is, in fact. If they understand what a state of public health emergency is on Kush, and they are accused of Kush, do not think about a bail at the police station. They should know. That is why we are very much critical about that. They should understand what a state of public health emergency on Kush is. Yeah? EBK is one of the problems in Sierra Leone. Well, I cannot say so. Yeah, I do not have the justifications to say it's one of the problems in Sierra Leone. As far as I am concerned, it's an elderly statesman who needs to take the back seat from politics completely and just enjoy his elderly statesmanship, and should not allow people to come and
to dictate for him
what should happen.
All right.
Yeah, we have seen other presidents. Like you rightly said, President Kaba was very quiet up until his demise. We saw the role played by EBK. EBK did work on foot, you know, from National Stadium to Kisi Road Cemetery to lay him to rest. He gave him eternal respect.
All right.
EBK is not the problem. The government of Sierra Leone is the problem. Well, I think we need another debate altogether to really analyze if the government of Sierra Leone is actually the problem. But we've seen circumstances in which, after elections, we saw the commissions of inquiry and we saw the high-handedness of government going after opposition politicians. That also added to the problem.
All right, thank you so much. So you two have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think my brother has said it all on the police. What the Vice President said, I mean, you just like what you said, he has justified the point that whosoever is being nabbed cannot be released in the custody of police. Let them charge the matter to court and expedite the matter. So, and he also mentioned that if the matter has been charged to court, your lawyer can go there and agitate on your behalf if the judge think it's well to release that individual.
I think that should have put that to rest, and so, especially with the national emergency also again.
Thank you, and let people understand that was what I was saying. Let now the Attorney General's office and the task force create the laws within this public health emergency, not to which owns individual.
Other people.
And EBK is a problem for me. I don't think so. We have laws, right? My only point why I mentioned his name, for him to be an elderly state person. That was what I was expecting, and others also.
And you two pointed your reason out.
Exactly. So for me, if we come back, that was what we expecting. We want to be cohesive. We want to be united. We want to see where opposition can checkmate, right, the ruling party in governance constructively, right, not by flaming fires.
All right, thank you so much. Because of time,
exactly.
I want to express my thanks and gratitude to Solomon Sundu, a civil society activist, and also Minkailo Kuruma, who is a political analyst and a social commentator, for joining me today. And this is where we bring the cut down of today's show. And you have been watching Front Page here on AYV Television Channel 33 and on Radio 101.7 FM, and also our Facebook page. Many thanks to our guest, and also my producer Edima Conte, and to the rest of the technical team. I am Salifu Cherno Kamara. Many thanks for watching and listening, and do have a wonderful day.
You're watching AYV Television.
Hey, lighten up your day. Come and have a taste. Yummy Sierra all the way. Makes you feel okay. I found out you can choose. Natural juice for you. Sierra.